President Trump has this morning ruled out putting US troops on the ground in Ukraine.
To discuss, Ukraine's ambassador to Australia, Vasyl Myroshnychenko, joins us now in the studio. Ambassador, good morning. It's lovely to see you this morning. All right, after all the excitement and promise of yesterday, in your heart of hearts, do you think Vladimir Putin will come to the table and do a deal?
We praise President Donald Trump, for his initiative to end this war. It's important to keep America involved. It's important to keep Europe involved. And President Zelenskyy was very positive about the outcomes of the meeting. As you've seen, he was joined by the European leaders. And it was a strong sign of solidarity with the Ukrainian people. Now I think the call is on Russia. Will Russia do it or not? Because you have to remember, 11 years ago, Russia started the war. They got emboldened by the very weak reaction they got to what they did. They started the war in Donbass, they occupied Crimea, and they invaded Ukraine 8 years later. What's important for us is how can we achieve security guarantees. Security guarantees which would deter a third Russian invasion 3 years from now or later on. Russia treats Ukraine as a country which does not have a right to exist. They wanted to take over very quickly, take over Kyiv 3 days, the whole country in 3 weeks, and they failed. Now, they're claiming the territory. 20% of Ukraine is occupied. It's as if New South Wales and Victoria. So imagine you get invaded, and the enemy says, well, we're going to stop killing Australians if you just give up 2 of your states.
Well, how does President Zelenskyy feel about ceding that land that's already taken by the Russians currently?
It's impossible legally. It's according to the Ukrainian constitution. The president has no mandate to do it. Right? He needs to get a buy-in, he needs to go through the legal process. And actually, you know, after all the casualties, after all the sacrifice that Ukrainians have made, politically it's not viable. What can happen eventually that Russians can end up controlling that part of Ukraine that they currently occupy? And that will be a similar arrangement like Baltic nations during the Soviet Union were under the occupation, but it was never recognized. But ceding any new territory, and look, by the way, UK MOD did a survey of they published a study the other day which said that Russians, it took them 11 years to occupy those 2, Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts. But to take the other part of Donetsk oblast, this is what Russians are wanting, Russians will need another 4 years and maybe another 1 million casualties.
So do you draw the line wherever they are now in Donetsk and go, okay, that's it? Somehow you do that.
Look, and nobody's going to legally cede that, right? I mean, it's just de facto will be occupied by Russia. But I'm very personally thankful to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese for joining the call last night. Again, another call of the coalition.
Would you call for Australian troops to be involved in that peace process?
And if the time will come, there will be a call made by the coalition of the willing. I mean, this is one of the possible arrangements. At the end of the day, it's still hypothetical, right, when that's going to happen. Because for those peacekeeping troops to be deployed, you need a ceasefire, you need some sort of arrangements which have to be put in place. President Trump is very optimistic, and that's good. We'll see if bilateral meeting takes place and where and how, what's going to be the outcome, and then the trilateral meeting. That was a plan that was done yesterday. But look, I mean, the way this war is going to play out will have a major impact on the future of Australia.
That would be huge if Zelenskyy and Putin ended up sitting down
together. Oh, look, I mean, let's see if it happens. But look,
do you think it will?
Putin actually, 70% of the Russian people support Putin. He promised them to destroy Ukraine entirely. He portrayed Ukraine as an enemy, as a Nazi fascist junta run by, Zelenskyy. And he has to finish the job, and he hasn't delivered. And that's the whole problem. Can Putin deliver? But at the end of the day, the way this is going to play out, that's going to really shape the Indo-Pacific security and stability here. Because it's one country, and because Russia just has so many nuclear weapons. I mean, 5,000 warheads. This is the only thing they have. It's a small country from economic standpoint of view, the GDP of Italy, but they are waging a war, the largest war since the Second World War.
So this morning, in a nutshell, you're hopeful but skeptical.
Look, I'm cautiously optimistic because I've seen it all in 3.5 years, and we don't know what's going to happen. But definitely, look, if Russians can do it, it will embolden other authoritarian leaders here around the corner to do the same thing.
In Europe.
I hope for everyone's sake that it draws to a close. I appreciate you being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in.
Well, just ahead.